take full responsibility for, my crimes or my charges.
Young Thug just got sentenced after new evidence surfaced in the RICO case, and things are looking grim. But that's not the only bombshell. A leaked clip of him allegedly snitching and throwing shots at other rappers has fans convinced his time behind bars is about to get a whole lot messier. Let me break it down. The deal that flipped everything. Young Thug is going through it right now. Word is, new evidence just surfaced, and prosecutors are reportedly adding fresh charges that could send him right back to jail. For anyone who hasn't been keeping up, back in 2024, Thug, born Jeffrey Lamar Williams, took a non-negotiated plea deal that completely rewrote his life story. After spending over 900 days behind bars, nearly 2.5 years of his prime, the Atlanta Trap King made a move that had the streets divided, with some calling it genius and others calling it straight foolish.
Yeah, I kind of get the impression that Young Thug feels bitter that he took that plea deal when, what was it with the other guy who got off?
Beat it outright. I don't know, but I know what you're talking about. He beat it outright. He can feel bitter all he wants. You took it. I don't give a damn how bitter you feel. You took it, so now you gotta.
Right.
Yo, the courtroom drama that went down that night was some movie type shit. No cap. Judge Paige Reese Whitaker hit Williams with a 40-year bid. But here's the twist. The first 5 years got commuted to time served, and he walked out on 15 years probation. But check this. Homie got a backloaded 20-year sentence hanging over his dome like a sword, ready to drop the minute he steps out of line during his probation. That's some serious pressure, fam. This ain't your regular suburban white-collar probation where you just gotta check in with your PO once a month and keep your nose clean. Nah, the conditions they slapped on Thug are read like some authoritarian handbook, straight up. Dude gotta do 100 hours of community service every year. Can't set foot in the A for 10 years except for family functions like weddings or funerals, plus court-ordered anti-gang presentations. He can't even holler at his own day ones or co-defendants, only exceptions being his blood brother Unfunk and Gunna, and that's strictly for business. Random drug tests, no straps, and he can't even rep his set on social media. That's some heavy surveillance state type restrictions.
Now you got 32 years left. He has to give them 15 years clean in order for them to suspend that additional 20. If he catches a violation in between 0 and 15, he's obligated to do the whole 35 on probation. So he just needs to have no opinion about anything that has anything to do with any group of people, period, unless it's associated with him selling some merch, promoting a new artist, or music, even with the new artist.
But here's where it gets real spicy. Young Thug already came close to catching a violation and getting sent back to the pen, just months after touching down from his bid. Them prosecutors was already plotting on him again. On April 3rd, 2025, Fulton County DAs filed paperwork trying to violate his probation, claiming he broke the terms. The specifics ain't fully out there in these streets, but just the fact they moved that fast to try and jam him up shows you how thin the ice is under his feet.
You got 35 years of what we call joint suspension to tail over your head, to where they can bring you back and say, we send you back for 2 years. Okay, you was out a year, you did 2, now you got 32 years left.
The whole irony of Thugger's situation gets even crazier when you peep the bigger picture of this YSL RICO mess. This wasn't just some regular street case. This was Georgia's longest-running criminal trial in history, a massive legal circus that started with a 56-count indictment trying to nail 28 people to the wall. The feds and state prosecutors came with this wild theory. They claimed Young Stoner Life, Thug's record label that put Atlanta trap music on the map, was actually a front for a criminal organization called Young Slime Life, supposedly affiliated with the Bloods and responsible for bodies dropping all over Atlanta. The charges they tried to stick on Williams were absolutely ridiculous. If they would have gotten convictions on everything, my man was looking at 120 years in the pen, basically a life sentence times 4. The prosecution painted him as King Slime, the top dog of this alleged street organization, claiming he was calling shots on everything from murders to robberies to drug operations. They said YSL was behind violent crimes like the 2015 killing of Donovan Thomas Jr. and the 2022 killing of Shymel Drinks. But when all the smoke cleared and the dust settled, the prosecution's grand plan fell apart like a house of cards in a hurricane. Not a single defendant got convicted of murder charges. Not one body stuck. This was a major L for DA Fonnie Willis and her whole squad, who had been flexing on this case like they were about to clean up Atlanta's streets. When cats like Diamante Kendrick, Yak Gotti, beat every single charge, RICO, murder, gang shit, everything, on December 3rd, 2024, it showed just how shaky the whole case was from jump. The whole trial was straight chaos from day one, like something out of a comedy show but with real people's lives on the line. The original judge, Ural Glanville, got kicked off the case in July 2024 after defense lawyers caught him having secret meetings with prosecutors and witness Kenneth Lil Woody Copeland. This backdoor meeting had folks questioning if the judge was really being fair, so they had to boot him. Then Judge Shukura Ingram stepped in, but had to bounce too because of some conflict involving a deputy getting arrested for smuggling contraband. The musical chairs of judges just added to the circus atmosphere that was already off the rails. The courtroom turned into a straight clown show with incidents that would have been unbelievable in a movie script. Somebody hacked into a Zoom call and yelled "Free Thug" during virtual proceedings. A female deputy got arrested for allegedly sneaking contraband to defendant Christian Eppinger, who she was supposedly involved with romantically. Between defendant stabbings, lawyer arrests, and witness issues, the whole thing felt more like a reality TV show than a serious criminal trial. The most telling sign that this case was headed for disaster? Jury selection took damn near 10 months from January to November 2023, with over 2,000 potential jurors saying they couldn't serve because the case was too complex. That should have been a red flag from the beginning that the prosecution's RICO strategy was way more complicated than they could handle. Even with all these problems and setbacks, Young Thug found himself in a position where copping a plea seemed like the smartest move. The non-negotiated nature of his plea meant he basically threw himself on the mercy of the court with no guarantees about what sentence he'd get. This was a high-stakes gamble that could have backfired completely if Judge Whitaker wasn't feeling generous.
It's like he can't be happy with what he actually pulled off, which I thought was a miracle.
Yeah.
It was really a miracle, because if that case was the train wreck that it was, he could have gotten those 35 years legitimately. Yo, be happy. Be happy that you're out. But it's going to be interesting to see,
Now, as Thugger tries to navigate these treacherous waters of probation, every move he makes gets analyzed under a microscope for potential violations. That early motion to revoke his probation shows that prosecutors are still watching him like hawks, ready to strike at the first sign he's not following their rules. This creates a situation where his freedom exists in constant jeopardy, where one wrong tweet, one bad decision, one association with the wrong person could send him away for decades.
I'm almost at this point doubting that Young Thug has the self-control to get through these 15 years clean.
I thought that him doing the 2.5, I thought it would have humbled him. But sometimes with some of these artists, when they beat certain things or get out of certain things.
Oh, yeah, no, he said it in the Little Babies. I feel like I wasn't even locked up. There was a little line in there.
The snitch allegations. While Thugger was trying to walk the tightrope of staying free on probation, some real explosive stuff dropped that threatened to destroy not just his freedom, but his whole reputation and possibly his life in the streets. Late August 2025, a nearly 2-hour audio recording from what folks say was a 2023 police interrogation hit the internet, with a voice that sounds like Young Thug discussing YSL member Pee Wee Roscoe. In this recording, the voice mentions Roscoe in connection to that 2015 shooting incident with Lil Wayne's tour bus, saying some words that sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. They said Roscoe, but I don't want to block out y'all's case by saying Roscoe ain't do that. In the ruthless world of street politics and hip-hop authenticity, ain't too many accusations that carry more weight or more deadly consequences than being labeled a rat. This ain't just about losing fans or getting clowned on social media. This is about survival, both in terms of keeping your career alive and real talk, keeping your actual life. The streets operate on an unwritten code that views any cooperation with the police as the ultimate betrayal, a violation so serious it can result in complete social exile, career destruction, and in the worst cases, getting touched.
Young Thug a rap, bro. Yeah, ain't none of this. We ain't doing this, man. Because I'm hearing people trying to cap. I'm hearing his own dudes, man. Listen, man. The man is a rat according to himself, bro. It's over with for Thug.
The reaction from the hip-hop community was immediate and vicious. Social media platforms lit up like the 4th of July, with debates, arguments, and accusations flying every which way. What made this situation particularly damaging for Young Thug was the context around these allegations. During the height of the YSL trial, he had been one of the loudest voices calling out co-defendants who took plea deals, especially going hard at Gunna with accusations of snitching. This created a narrative of hypocrisy that his haters were all too happy to run with. Young Thug's defense came quick, but it seemed like most folks weren't trying to hear it. He hopped on X, formerly Twitter, on August 27, 2025, posting, "They didn't play my interrogation video in court because I helped my brother #ratwear." His argument was that the audio wasn't used in court because it actually helped his homie instead of snitching on him. The next day, he doubled down, posting what he claimed was a court motion that questioned whether a detective was lying about statements he supposedly made in the back of a police car. But the damage was already spreading through Atlanta's rap scene like wildfire. These allegations created a domino effect of accusations and counter-accusations that seemed to drag nearly everyone connected to YSL into the drama.
We heard what we heard, man. Don't act like y'all ain't hear what y'all hear. Man, I just want to tell y'all, man, once again, this is another gang of dudes, man, who showed they wasn't all never loyal to each other anyway, man. I'm talking about from Young Thug to Woody.
The implications of these allegations go way beyond just hip-hop gossip or internet drama. In the context of Young Thug's already precarious probation situation, being labeled a snitch creates multiple layers of danger that could prove more immediately threatening than his legal troubles. If he violates his probation and gets sent back to the pen, which, given that early motion filed against him, looks like a real possibility, these snitching allegations could make his time locked up exponentially more dangerous. Prison culture operates on that same no snitching code that governs the streets, but with even more severe consequences for breaking it. Research on prison dynamics shows that inmates who get labeled as snitches face social isolation, harassment, and often violent retaliation from other prisoners who view cooperation with authorities as an unforgivable violation of the convict code. For someone like Young Thug, whose alleged leadership of YSL has been extensively documented and publicized, walking back into prison under a cloud of snitching allegations would be like stepping into a minefield with fireworks attached to his feet. Looking at other high-profile cases shows just how career-ending these allegations can be. When Tekashi 6 Isix99 cooperated with federal prosecutors in his 2020 RICO case, actually testifying against his co-defendants to get a reduced sentence, he faced immediate and ongoing backlash from the whole hip-hop community. Despite trying to resurrect his career multiple times, he remains largely blackballed from mainstream hip-hop, reduced to creating controversy instead of commanding respect. Industry veteran Akon, speaking about what happens when rappers cooperate, kept it 100 about the reality facing artists in these situations.
Do you think that hip-hop will allow him to flourish like Tekashi has somewhat flourished?
Absolutely not.
No. Why is that?
His career will be over.
But you don't think it's kind of a different day now? Like everyone's, you have Charleston Whites of the world who tell on everyone. And
if he does do music, it ain't gonna be hip hop, because hip hop, they will cancel him.
What makes Young Thug's situation particularly complicated is the web of plea deals and alleged cooperation that characterized the whole YSL case. Gunna's Alford plea in December 2022, where he pleaded guilty to one racketeering charge while maintaining his innocence, sparked similar snitching allegations. The difference was that Gunna's plea explicitly stated it couldn't be used against other defendants and that he hadn't agreed to testify. But even this level of legal protection couldn't save him from the court of public opinion, where he faced widespread accusations of betrayal from fellow artists and fans. The cascade of plea deals that followed created an environment where nearly everyone associated with YSL faced some level of scrutiny about their loyalty and street credibility. Quamarvius Nichols copped a plea to RICO conspiracy on October 29, 2024, with prosecutors dropping murder and gang activity charges in exchange. Marquavius Huey and Rodalius Ryan followed with similar deals on October 30, 2024. Each of these deals weakened the prosecution's case while simultaneously fueling speculation about who was cooperating and how much they were telling. The time bomb that's about to explode. As Thugger navigates this dangerous landscape of freedom, growing number of voices in the streets are saying his return to the pen isn't a question of if, but when. The cold, hard mathematics of his situation are brutally simple and unforgiving. Any violation of his probation terms triggers that devastating 20-year backloaded sentence, and all the early signs point to him already walking on ice so thin it's starting to crack under the pressure. Industry insider Wack 100, known for keeping it 100 about hip-hop legal situations, painted a particularly grim picture of Young Thug's prospects during a detailed breakdown of just how precarious the rapper's position really is. The incident that almost sent Young Thug back to the joint so soon after his release shows just how easily he can find himself back in legal hot water. A single social media post, something that should be well within his rights as a citizen expressing his opinion, nearly resulted in a probation violation that could have sent him away for decades. While the judge ultimately ruled in his favor, the narrow margin of this victory and the speed with which prosecutors moved to file violation papers should serve as a wake-up call about how closely they're monitoring his every move. The restrictions placed on Young Thug's artistic expression represent a fundamental challenge to his ability to create authentic music that resonates with his audience. Hip-hop has always been a genre rooted in keeping it real, in artists' ability to speak truthfully about their experiences, their environment, and their perspectives on the world around them. For an artist whose entire catalog has been built on references to trap life, loyalty, betrayal, and survival in the streets, these restrictions essentially require him to completely reinvent his artistic persona from scratch. But the mathematical reality of his sentence structure makes the situation even more precarious than it appears on the surface. This creates what legal experts call a sword of Damocles situation, a constant threat hanging over Young Thug's head that could drop at any moment. The pressure of maintaining perfect compliance for 15 consecutive years while living under such restrictive conditions would challenge even the most disciplined individual. For someone who has spent his entire adult life in the public eye, with every move scrutinized and analyzed by fans, haters, and law enforcement alike, the margin for error is essentially non-existent. Industry observers have noted concerning signs that Young Thug may be struggling with the adjustment to life under such restrictive conditions. This bitterness, if it exists, represents a dangerous psychological state for someone in Young Thug's position. The temptation to lash out, to express frustration publicly, or to engage in behavior that could be interpreted as probation violations becomes significantly higher when someone feels they've been treated unfairly by the system. The fact that other co-defendants like Yak Gotti completely beat all their charges while Young Thug accepted a plea deal that essentially amounts to a suspended life sentence could understandably create feelings of regret and resentment. The case of YSL-DK, one of the alleged co-founders of the YSL Collective who testified during the trial, provides insight into the complex dynamics and relationships that Young Thug must now navigate while trying to stay compliant with his probation terms.
Did you talk to Thug after he got out?
Nah, I haven't talked to him. Since I've been out, I talked to his mom. I seen his dad talk to Pops, and that's about it. I don't really I got 4 kids, Vlad, a wife, you feel me? My mom still living, sisters, my little brother find a murder. I'm the man of this household, you feel me? I gotta make sure this over here straight. I did all them years of my life trying to make sure he get to where he went, and then I got left behind, so I'm focusing on me and mine.
So you don't feel that Young Thug really took care of you based on all the work that you did?
I don't feel like no man should have to take care of another man. I feel like he ain't put me in position like I would've did him, but that's what I learned too in prison. You can't expect people to do what you would do in a situation.
This sentiment from someone who was allegedly tight with Young Thug reveals the fractures and disappointments that have emerged within the YSL family as a result of the legal proceedings. These damaged relationships create additional stress and potential complications for Young Thug as he tries to rebuild his life and career while staying compliant with probation terms that restrict his associations and activities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I still love him to death to this day.
Yeah.
I see him right now, I bear hug him. Come here. You feel me?
I can imagine that too.
I bear hug him, pick him up off his feet, man. Come here, nigga. It's my brother forever, for life, but we'll never be like, it can never go back to like it was though.
The broader implications of the YSL case extend far beyond Young Thug's individual situation. The prosecution's failure to secure any murder convictions despite years of investigation and a trial that became Georgia's longest-running criminal case in history represents a significant victory for defendants, but also potentially increases scrutiny on those who did accept plea deals. District Attorney Fonnie Willis and her team invested enormous resources and political capital in this case, and the mixed results may create additional pressure to ensure that plea deals are enforced to the fullest extent of the law. The reality that Young Thug now faces is a catch-22 of epic proportions. To maintain his career and handle his financial obligations, he needs to create music and maintain a public presence. But every public statement, every bar he spits, every social media post carries the potential to be interpreted as a probation violation. The creative restrictions imposed on him essentially require him to abandon the authentic street narrative that made him successful in the first place, forcing him to choose between artistic integrity and freedom.
Do you think that Young Thug can cooperate and then get out and have a career?
The question is he willing to cooperate to save himself and his family? Is he willing to take that shame, that mud in the face, to say, you know what, my daughter, my son, my family,
He's got a bunch of kids, right?
He has to decide whose life is more important, their life or the people he's trying to impress. Because there's a moment in life where you have to decide,
The financial pressures alone create additional risk factors for probation violations. Young Thug has multiple children to support, significant legal debts from his defense, and the lifestyle expectations that come with his level of success in the game. These financial pressures could push him toward business decisions or associations that might violate his probation terms, particularly given the restrictions on who he can associate with and where he can conduct business.
If doing the right thing is worth the embarrassment, because clearly being known to the world as a snitch is the biggest embarrassment in the world.
Depends who you
in
are.
our generation, that's what it is. Like, right? The key is not to be in
In hip hop, absolutely. In hip hop.
in hip hop.
Yeah.
In his environment, the world he knows.
Correct.
Right? So you have, listen, life is about choices. You have to decide. No one can make those choices for you. And you have, if I had it my way, I would have prayed that he had guidance to where he would never was even in that position in the first place.
The snitching allegations have created an additional layer of danger that could prove more immediately threatening than his legal situation. If Young Thug does return to the pen, and given the early probation violation motion and the restrictive nature of his terms, this seems increasingly likely, he would be entering an environment where his reputation has been severely damaged by accusations of cooperating with law enforcement. Prison hierarchies are notoriously unforgiving to those perceived as rats. The combination of Young Thug's high profile, the extensive media coverage of his case, and the snitching allegations could make him a target for violence from inmates seeking to establish their own credibility by challenging someone they perceive as having violated the most sacred rule of street culture.
But if you find yourself in a position like that, my advice is the only fucking thing that matters is your family. Period.
The tragic irony is that Young Thug's plea deal, initially viewed as a miraculous escape from a potential life sentence, may have simply delayed the inevitable while creating new categories of risk. The backloaded sentence structure means that any probation violation essentially triggers the full weight of the original charges, but now he faces these consequences while carrying the additional burden of snitching allegations that could make prison exponentially more dangerous.
Them white folks don't know nothing about none of this is going on in the streets. They don't give a fuck. So he would have to switch genres altogether to even have a chance. But hip hop, you can forget it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
As Young Thug continues to navigate this legal minefield, every decision he makes carries potentially life-altering consequences. The early probation violation motion suggests that prosecutors remain vigilant and ready to act at the first sign of non-compliance. The snitching allegations have created additional layers of complexity, potentially affecting his safety if he does return to prison, while simultaneously damaging his credibility and earning potential in the hip-hop industry. The next few years will likely determine whether Young Thug can successfully navigate these challenges and reclaim his position in hip-hop, or whether he will become another cautionary tale about the intersection of street culture, artistic expression, and the American criminal justice system. Given the complexity of his situation, the multiple forces working against him, and the mathematical probability of probation violations over a 15-year period, the odds appear to be stacked heavily against his long-term freedom. The clock is ticking, and with each passing day, the pressure continues to mount. Young Thug may have won the battle in court, but the war for his freedom, and possibly his life, is far from over. The streets are watching, the feds are watching, and one wrong move could send everything crashing down around him. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to watch another fascinating video like this, click on one of the boxes on your screen right now.